Fortunately, rumps don't commonly have image quality issues. Not all breed associations even use the rump fat, but we'll spend a few minutes and just kind of quickly go through some of the potential areas. So here we have an acceptable image. And in talking about contact, here is a marginal image. I would imagine most lab technicians are going to follow this line at the top of my cursor across and decide to measure the fat thickness right in here, but there's guesswork. Therefore, it's marginal and should be looked at by a second set of eyes. Here's an image that, because this middle section is all black, we can see where the biceps femoris and gluteus medius are probably coming up. Our reference point should be in this area somewhere, but we have no contact and no way of knowing where the top fat line or the bottom fat line is. And no, we shouldn't measure over here or over here just to get a measurement, because most animals, this fat thickness along there is fairly wavy, and we want to be consistent. So, rejected image, no data point. So one thing I like to do is show field technicians probe placement with rumps. So this is an image that you may say, well, the bottom of the rump really doesn't have anything to do with image quality or with where to measure. And that's correct for the most part. But what happens is, if we can identify, looking at the image, what's wrong, and say, oh, this is flat. We have a lot of meat between the fat and the hook bone. If we can look for some landmarks or identify some things that give us an indication that there's a problem, then we can say, oh, this happens when the image is too high. And the field technician seeing this image hopefully will recognize that, okay, the probe is too high, slide the probe down, get a better image. Here's an example of too low. In too low, we have a double bottom line. Again, we can measure the fat thickness, but when a field technician can look at an image, identify what's wrong with it, and then connect that to why or what happened, like double line, too low, then they can visualize, oh, I need to start up higher. That's the kind of thing that comes across really easily with the rumps. Now, in the case of too far forward, here's the hook bone, and the probe is not centered over the hook bone, but you can see very much over the hook bone. The reference point is off the screen. Could be on the edge of the screen, but it's difficult to say. So this image should not be measured. Again, rumps are easy to collect. There's no reason that a field technician would collect an image like this, and we see very few like this. But this would be rejected, no data point. The flip side is they could go too far back off of the hook bone. We can't see the hook bone. It's almost flat across here. The hook bone's probably over here somewhere if we follow this upward slope. Probably over here. This might be the connective tissue between the biceps femoris and gluteus medius, but it's actually likely to not be. There's another set of muscles farther back that have that same connective tissue. So when it's flat across here, we should not measure this image. This should be rejected. So hopefully, again, rumps aren't a big source of rejections, but these are some of the possible ways that could be rejected, and then just really kind of hammer home for the field technicians, probe placement makes a difference on what the image looks like.